Hi, this is Simon Upstall and welcome to another tutorial for Apple Motion. And today we're going to be taking a look at creating this creepy alien organism. So it looks pretty complicated, but it's surprisingly simple and really quite fun to do. So let's get going. Okay, so for this project, I'm going with 1920 1080, 24 frames a second, and a duration of 30 seconds. So I'm going to come over to the library, generators, and I'm going to grab a clouds, and I'm also going to grab caustics, both of those. Bring them in like that. So what we're going to do is with the caustics, we are going to set the size to 0.4, so nice and big like that. And we're going to have a brightness of, 150. So we want it really bright like that. So we're not actually going to use the caustics in their own right. So I'm actually going to turn that off. We're going to come into the clouds. I want a very slight speed on this, or if any at all. So I think I'll go with 0.1. So let's come to filters, distortion and bump map, and we're going to use the caustics as the source, and we're going to turn the amount right up, and we're going to turn on repeat edges. So now we've got this quite interesting sort of liquid displacement effect. So I'm going to come back into the clouds, and I actually want to switch the method to turbulent, and that gives us this much darker look, and I think that's going to work better for us. The next step is to turn this group into a replicator. So let's come to Object and Replicate. Let's close down the original group. So rectangle is fine and tile fill is fine. We want a size of 0 and we want one column, and let's go for 36 rows. So then what we're going to do is come down to the angle end and set that, I think, to 180. And also the scale end, let us set that to 0. So now we've got this interesting scaly animation like that. Very simply done, really quite complex looking. So then we can take this group and we can come to filters and distortion and sphere, and that spherizes it obviously. Let's set the radius to 520 and we're now looking like that. So there's an effect I like to do with this sort of thing, which is to really brighten up the highlights and make it look much more shiny. So we're going to clone the group, right click, make clone layer. We're going to set the blend mode to linear dodge, and then we're going to come to filters and color and threshold. And let's just turn off the original group to see what we're left with. We're just left with these really bright highlights like that. We probably want to add a little bit of extra softness just so they're not too crunchy. Something like that. 0.5 is probably quite good for the smoothness there. So let's turn back on our original group. And if I toggle that on and off, you can see the difference that makes. It's all looking much more shiny. So another thing I want to do is come back into our original group, the one that's turned off, and come over to the library. And this time I'm going to grab cellular and drag that in above the clouds like that. Come over to the inspector and set its blend mode to linear dodge. And then let's come over to the generator here. And what we want to do is open up this gradient, grab the black value and drag it across like that. Just so we're left with these very fine little dots like that. Sort of little particles, which I think look pretty nice. And what we could also do is add to this cellular a glow and a glint. And that is just going to give us these little streaks. We're not really seeing very much of it, but it actually is, I think, going to work quite well. Okay, so what else can we do? Let us now group everything. So select everything, right click group, and then let's clone this group. So right click, make clone layer. So this has made a new group with the clone in it, and I'm going to put that behind our original group. I'm going to select this clone layer. I'm going to set the scale to something like 210, and that gives us this interesting outer layer. So what we also want to do is we want to rotate everything. So I'm going to select my original group and I'm going to come to rotation and add parameter behavior and ramp, and let's set the end value to 360. Actually, maybe negative 360. I can never really decide on this. I kind of want it to go almost the opposite way to the way it would naturally go. So let's also copy that ramp onto the clone. So I'm going to do that holding down the Option key and drag it onto the clone like that. So now we've got the two of those together. We could actually make the outer go at a slightly different rate. Let's try that. Let's go for 240 for the outer. Not sure that's necessarily any better. Maybe just negative 300. In actual fact, I should tell you that I changed my mind subsequently and decided that actually a positive rotation was going to be better for both of those. So see what you think, but that was my view. I think what we want to do is take our main group here, the one that's got the main sort of sphere-y kind of element, and just add to it. Actually, I'm going to reset that position. It really bugs me that when you select things and group them, that you always get sort of silly offsets like this. Very annoying. Anyway, I've reset the position of that group, and I'm going to come to the circle mask, hold down the Shift and Option key, and draw out a circle like that. Let's center it up. Let's come to the mask, set the radius to be 520, which was the size of our sphere, and then let's just reduce the feather, so negative feather, just so we're feathering it in a little bit, and you can see that the difference that makes. It just blends it in with that background layer a little bit more. So that is the effect. There's plenty you can do to customize it, as you've probably guessed, and I think I'll leave it there because I think I've shown you all the tricks that I can think of. Hope that's been interesting. Thanks very much indeed for watching, and I'll see you again soon.